Only one team ends up happy at the end of the season, and this year, the Kansas City Chiefs are not it. But 2021 season starts right now. This is the First Take. Welcome back to RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL, the draft, athleticism, the whole 9 yards. And I know that it's a little bit fresh in your minds, Chiefs Kingdom, but if you are not a Chiefs fan, you're probably ready for this anyway. It's about time to move on. Super Bowl champion has been crowned. Congrats to the Bucs. Chiefs didn't get what they wanted. Probably could have made some changes to their game plan, and that's what we're going to talk about today, how they got where they were. And that is, I think at the end of the day, we all know about the pressure. I thought that Todd Bowles did a great job doing what we thought he'd do. I told you last week, he's going to play that deep zone, and he's going to let his front four try to get there. It worked. It wasn't a surprise. It looked like it might have surprised the Chiefs a little bit, though. From Tyreek Hill's post-game comments, it seemed like that's not what they were really expecting. And that's unfortunate because I think had they been, they would have been able to shift their gears a little bit and been a bit more prepared for what they did get. That said, I think there's still opportunity there. Obviously, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes did nearly everything that he could, other than shift his focus down to the inside and really force those short passes. Emphasize the slant, emphasize the drag, emphasize the quick outs that you could have gotten some hay on just by getting the ball out of his hands faster. I think that probably would have been better for him physically over the course of the game as well. That is something to keep in consideration in the back of your mind for future contests, because certainly we all know that teams have done this before and the Chiefs have been able to overcome it. But seeing it in a Super Bowl, you know teams are going to play them this way in the future. No one's going to take that single high man approach unless they really feel that they have a special safety back there. They're going to play like the Bucs played them. And that's fine, because very few teams, I think, are going to have the situation up front that they had in this Super Bowl. That's not to take away from the defensive backs. They played their zones well. They came on a couple of blitzes here and there. I think it was 6 for the whole thing, which isn't a whole lot of pressure, blitz pressure on Patrick. He really came from their front four. And that is due to the backup offensive line being in there. There's really no two ways to say that this is a perfect storm for what Todd Bowles was able to do in playing his deep coverage and letting his four get there because the four got there. There are very few other teams in this league that can do that and expect to have that kind of result. And quite frankly, by next season, they wouldn't even be able to have that result. Just the loss of Eric Fisher shifted that entire offensive line. And I think we saw that because we know that Eric played against them the first time they were unable to really generate that kind of pressure. So it comes back to your lineup on the offensive line and how you go to rebuild it. It is a difficult thing. Andy Reid spoke on Monday following the game, and he does not seem very challenged by it at all.
Yeah, Sam. So listen, I'm not obviously pointing my finger at the offensive line. I mean, we had guys that were moved around a little bit, and they take great pride in their work and busted their tail. So with the guys that are injured that are potentially coming back or opted out or potentially coming back, we'll kind of get all that covered here in the next couple days. I don't think the outlook is bleak by any means. We should be good there. Just and then Brett will obviously keep an eye on that as he does everything, and just see how that works. But I'm optimistic going forward, and I'm proud of the guys and the effort that they gave last night.
I'm all for having that confidence. It's good to hear because I do feel that they have a lot of hurdles to overcome. There's a lot of players that they have question marks on, and he kind of alluded to it in that comment there. Eric Fisher, the recovery from the injury is going to be substantial. I don't think there's any way he can be ready for week 1. Could he play next season towards the end? Yes, I think so. Is that really optimal? Don't know. going out in a playoff game with a fresh injury that is severe, especially for a 300-pound lineman, the Achilles is significant, and so I think that delays his whole recovery period. That said, you have to look at who you're going to put at left tackle next season then, at least for the first half, because even if he were to make a miraculous comeback, he's not going to be your starter week one. So you have work to do there. The other side, Mitch Schwartz is a complete mystery as well. I have my thoughts about it, but I'm not going to get into that here because, like Andy said, I think we're going to get some kind of information this week about where they stand there. So that's two. If you really feel like you're going to have Mitch Schwartz, then you got to feel pretty good about it. With that much recovery time, you'd hope that he'd be able to do whatever he has to do. Hopefully it's not something like a fusing vertebrae surgery. That would be very concerning for an offensive lineman, one that might push you towards not playing again. That is something that is probably out there somewhere. But they should know one way or the other. And if you're not going to have him, or if he is going to have surgery that will then delay him even farther, then you can start looking at what do you really have in Lucas Niang. Don't hold it against Niang for holding out, because that's what he had to do for his family, what was best for him. It also gave him an opportunity to continue to rehab his previous injury from college, which cut short his season, as the last season in college was, I think, October he was out. So he's had all that extra time to train specifically on the rehabilitation of that injury and to build up his strength, which is something I think he could use a little bit. A little bit of fitness, a little bit of strength, I think would go a long way, and maybe he can turn into your tackle of the future on the right-hand side. They will have that option to find out. But there's got to be some kind of meeting. We don't know the offseason rules directly yet. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in the run-up to the draft last season. Whether they get to OTAs or not after that, we'll find out here in the future. But can you do Zoom meetings? Can you do training sessions over the internet as well? Because I think strength, especially for a guy who took off his rookie season, is going to be important. Training is going to be important. But now he's had a look at the playbook and the kind of things that he can expect to be asked to do. And I think that's a positive step forward. Now, that said, there's a lot of question marks beyond that with LDT. We know he's been training. He said that he wants to come back. I expect to find some information about that too. I hope that was included in Coach Reed's comments about getting some of the answers on the potential opt-in players and those things. Both Niang and LDT would be in that category that you got to get an answer on. That said, you have questions everywhere else. Mike Remmer's free agent. Andrew Wiley, free agent. It's on and on. Wiz, free agent. You don't have everything that you need. Both your centers, Kilgore and Ryder, free agents. So while that sounds really bad, if you feel you have an anchor point with Fish and Mitch, with Niang and Fish, whatever combination, you still have Yasser Durant, you still have Rankin. I don't think those guys are viable options on the left-hand side as a starter in this league. I could be wrong. Maybe the Chiefs have a different opinion. But if you have anchor points and you have Allegretti, who's under contract, I think you have to feel pretty good about what he did in his chance to start. I don't know if Kelechi Osemele is going to be able to come back. So that might be the thing. He might be an anchor point as well. Then you have the ability to fill in. And that leaves you some positives in this draft in being able to get more athletic, younger, and a little more specific to what they want to do for Patrick. Instead of patching this line together, they can go out and get guys that they want for Patrick. And I think that's an advantage that the 2021 team is going to have over this 2020 team. So there's a lot that's going to go into that. We're going to talk all about the athleticism, the metrics, the things that you look for tendency-wise that they need. I think they definitely need to get some level of nasty in there too. They can't go all athleticism. So I think there's a lot to be discussed, and we're going to go through it all. I'm going to have rumors for you here this week. Dan's going to do a mock draft. We're going to be mixing it up all week long, all season long, as we get ready for free agency first, then the draft, as well as make sure you get the athletic matrix. I'll put all the old ones on sale. We'll have that for this year. Dan and I will be doing film reviews. Don't miss any of it, because where champions are made starts right now, day one of the next season. I hope that you guys are doing pretty well and enjoyed the Super Bowl at least as much as any fan can enjoy getting there and not getting it done. So that's one place to start, and there's always next season. We're going to get after it today, tomorrow, and the next day Don't miss any of it. Click the like and the sub and the bell notification if you're new. And for you members, we'll have a stream for you on Tuesday night for all the all-pros and elites. We'll get you in there too. Thanks for watching this one. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.